J once again. You already know that though. Swear everybody be hating on me. They do though. Say I ain't got it like that. I do though. Well, I guess I gotta come through, man. I gotta up my score, right? Nickel, let's go.
Hey, yo, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed, and like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. So I did a video about last year, and I talked about an individual, a Sureño from La Puente, named Mino, getting removed behind prison politics. And it's crazy how the world works. You know, he calls me whenever he gets a chance. He's on the SNY, and he's the one that's provided me with some of the relevant information for the last couple of years, along with some stories and some removals, because he has a message that he wants to share. One in particular is going to be this video, his controlling case. And the message he has in this video, he wants me to convey it to you guys, man. And it's a powerful message, a message that I've been saying, but it comes from him. So let's get into the video. So in the city of La Puente, you got Puente 13. That's probably one of the biggest gang neighborhoods in that city. And when we think of La Puente, we think of this man right here, Cisco. The one that came out and started one of the biggest Mexican mafia power struggles that we've ever talked about. When him and Perico decided to infringe on Jax Padilla's neighborhood, take over, a bunch of kidnappings happened. Perico got shot like 12 times, survived it. And then eventually Cisco and his brother Blanco and one of his lieutenants named Listo all get indicted on Mexican mafia RICO charges because of the power struggle that took place. Because what he was trying to do is make La Puente bigger and expand its territory and expand control. But we all know it was over power and greed. But in the city of La Puente, you got a lot of different neighborhoods that beef with each other, little subsection cliques that go to war with each other. A lot of them are streets. Ramas Street, Blackwood Street. I think one of those neighborhoods actually dropped to 13 and is actually just banging their audio and then don't even say La Puente no more. That's what I was told. But in this particular case, he was with one of his homegirls named Rosalie. He told me that him and his homegirl, they fooled around a lot. They messed around. They get all spadackled out, bro. And then, they would make passionate love or endless tweaker sex. You know, all that crazy crap they do. When I used to smoke dope, bro, I could never get it up. I think I maybe did it like twice, bro. And it took hours to even get it up. And then I still only lasted like 5 minutes. I used to be like, bro, y'all be talking about y'all be going 8 hours, bro. I still last the same. Didn't help me, but I was 15, 16 years old at the time, so maybe my body couldn't handle it. Plus, I was on one bad. So, that girl, they wound up showing up at a party. Her, one of her friends, a couple other people, including Mino and his crime partner, Silent. And they getting spun out, getting all tweaked out. And somehow, some way, they managed to navigate themselves to a different party of a girl named Sonia who was actually throwing a party because the person that owned the house was at work, but everybody had to leave around like 2 a.m., bro. You got to kick rocks, homie. You got to bounce, bro. Daddy coming home. It's that kind of thing, right? So when they go to that party, Mino and Rosalie get into an argument. She leaves for a couple hours. And when I asked him about the argument, I was like, what was it about? He said basically he wasn't giving her attention like she wanted. They were spun out, and she's used to him getting her all spun out and give her the ding-a-ling, and he wasn't doing it that night because there was other hyenas there, so she got jealous. They got into some verbal altercations, so she bounced. She winds up coming back around like 1 in the morning before 2 o'clock a.m. and sees that there's a crowd of people in the front. She shows up, talks to Mino, talks to Silent, and they go in the house and they start getting smoked out. About 20 minutes later, the victim in this controlling case shows up. His name is Richard. He's from Blackwood Street. Now, Mino's from Ramas Street, but his co-defendant, Silent, is from Blackwood Street. That's Silent's homeboy. So he shows up all tweaked out, spun out, going like this, geeking. And he had a pistol on him. And that pistol happened to be Mino's pistol. And somebody made a complaint at the party saying that he was waving it around, walking up to people like, I'm about to hit a lick right now, bro. I got to do something tonight, bro. So they snatched the gun from him. But Mino says he realized who this dude really was. So he called a meeting because at 2 a.m., homegirl decided to kick everybody out because old boy was showing back up. I don't know if it was a relative or her man or sugar daddy, whatever the case was. So everybody had to leave. So everybody goes outside and everybody's about to figure out what they're going to do. Well, Mino decides to gather everybody up in a little junta and starts talking. because that's what Rosalie testified in the case, in the controlling case that got him convicted, is that all she seen was these dudes huddled up talking. She didn't know what it was about. So Mino said it was about this. They knew this dude was all bad. He was in bad standings. He was on the lista. He was on the green light list. And it came from the top, the very top, Mexican Mafia, that he had to go. They had to smoke him. So he said he knew better. Now, he knew who the carnal was that was working this area of La Puente at the time. The one that sanctioned this removal and this murder at the time. Never met the dude personally. Catch what I said that. He never met the dude personally. But he just knew better. So he started telling all these fools like, hey, fool, like, some of you guys got to make your bones, bro. Somebody got to get rid of this fool. Now, the reason they got rid of him, a lot of the controlling case says one factor, that it was over dope. It was over drugs. He said that's not the case. The case was is this dude knew all the stash spots, knew all the casitas, knew all the dope dealers that were slanging for big homies. And he was robbing them. He was robbing the connects. He was robbing the stash houses because he needed to supply his habit. That's all he was doing it for, just to get high. And he knew everybody, and he just happened to hit the wrong person's casitas, and word travels through the streets like crazy, like lightning bolts. And it went back to the Mexican Mafia like, man, this is the one that's jacking all of us, taking all our feria, taking all our dope. We're running out of dope because he decides to slam it all in his veins every day. So dude's still there at the party, spun out, high, not knowing what's going on, not knowing that that huddle that's happening in front of him with his own neighborhood is about him. Because when you're on drugs, the mind frame deteriorates. You don't think properly. You can't even be aware of your own surroundings. You're not thinking straight. You're not thinking clear. He's just high as hell in his mind. And when you're high, half the stuff that you think about, you normally don't think about when you're sober. You're just thinking about it because you're lit. And Mino said that they made the call that night. This fool got to get smoked. So Rosalie's about to jump in the car. And he tells her, hold up real quick. Wait up. And him and Silent wind up getting in the car. And they call Richard over like, hey, let's go. Let's mob. Let's go smoke. Richard, high as hell. All he could think about is getting high even more. Which I always thought there was a limit to getting high. Like, bro, once you're like a certain point of high, you don't even get any higher no matter how much you do. But found out otherwise. And they put him in the back seat. Silent gets in the back seat with them. Mino gets in the front. Rosalie's the driver. So they drive around the corner, hit a couple of U-turns, end up on Orange Avenue, and then somewhere in a residential area. Mino tells Rosalie to pull over. So she pulls over. He gets out, opens up the back seat, and tells Richard and Silent, hey, get out the car real quick. Richard has no idea what's going on, but doesn't even question it. Come on, you get pulled over in a residential area, and it's pitch black looking like Jason Voorhees is about to hop out the bushes. You know, you start seeing the grudge come out of the gutter, or with it, they were making love together in the gutter. Would make you suspect, right? But when you're high, you don't really anticipate nothing. You really can't see it coming. Your mind's too much spaced out. So as he gets out, Silent's getting out too, and Mino sees Silent and was like, do it, fool, do it. And Silent puts the pistol to Richard's chest, shoots him twice. Rosalie starts screaming, oh my God, whoa, 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 whoa. But Richard's holding on to the back seat, doesn't want to get out of the car no more. And even Rosalie was kicking him to try to get him out. And that's where they dumped the body. Rosalie's trying to get him out. Well, they wind up dumping the body. In a residential area. Smoked him. Hopped in the car. Told her to drive. She's driving crazy. They're headed to San Bernardino. She's panicking. She's in the front seat. The whole time, Mino's threatening her. Telling her, if you say anything, I'm going to smoke you too. He told me he was trying to calm her down, but I told him, like, hey, how you going to calm somebody down by saying, like, hey, bro, whatever you talk about, bro, I'm going to blow your brains out if you speak on this. But that don't calm nobody down. That makes it even worse after they didn't see you body somebody. Yeah, the fear factor works really well. They get to San Bernardino. This is the cool part. She drops him off. He gives her $10 of gas money. Drove from La Puente to San Bernardino, however long distance, however far that is, and gave her $10 of gas and says, just don't say anything. Everything will be cool. Don't open your mouth to nobody. And him and Silent bounce. Well, they get wrapped up for this case, and they get life. A lot of people testified that were at that party. The thing he wanted to point out for everybody here watching, because he understands my message, he supports my message, so he had a message with his own story, with his own video. He said, Silent and Richard are from Blackwood Street, homies from the neighborhood, grew up together since day one. since they were kids. But Richard had a drug habit. And once Richard fell out of grace from the big homies and let his habit get the best of him, Silent didn't hesitate to volunteer to say, I'll smoke that fool. He's from my neighborhood. He's also, that whole concept of just because you guys are from the same neighborhood doesn't even matter. Does not matter, because when you got to go, they're always going to tell your neighborhood that you guys got to be the one to do it since he's from your barrio. Nobody else is going to take care of it. And that's how the Mexican Mafia worked during the time when he was actually in 2002, when he was actually in prison politics and street politics involved with the Mexican Mafia. They were going up to your barrio saying, hey, your homie got to go. You guys need to handle it. And we all know the war strategy to that. Who knows you better than your own barrio or your closest homies, your best friends, homies you grew up with, homies that live on the same block as you. He was like, I'm from Ramas Street, so I didn't really have to. I orchestrated it, made the call because I knew the big homie, but they had to take care of it. That was their barrio. I just went with it to make sure it got done. He goes, so Silent grew up with Richard and still smoked him. Didn't hesitate. And the other part that he wanted to mention, he goes, the person that sanctioned that removal, Silent or Mino, never met that person a day in their life to this day. They knew the name. They knew he was connected to the mob, to the mafia. They heard about him. They knew his power. They knew his influence. They knew people that worked for him personally, but never met him. Even to this day. And they're both doing life. Both got a chance of coming out with the new laws. And so I sat there and I was like, damn, fool. So you're doing a life of something you read out of a piece of paperwork, of a rumor and speculation and, hearsay of what everybody spreads, all the word spreads around in these videos. Most of the time, people don't even see the paperwork themselves. As long as they know somebody that knew the facts, that's all they need and validated to smoke somebody, right? I go, so how does that feel that you've been locked up almost 20-something years, going on 30 years, and the person that sanctioned this murder, you never got to meet him? And he just sat there quiet and he started laughing. He goes, yep, I never met that dude a day in my life to this day. He goes, I was in Pelican Bay shoot with tablas, with terco, with Güero Caballo. He has so many crazy stories. He gave me a story. I gotta break it down for you guys. It mentions all of them. He goes, I was back there with all these fools. Know them all personally, had conversations with them, did stuff with them. He goes, but the one person that I actually did a murder for, never met that person to this day. And that just goes to show the youth, there's going to be somebody in that cell. There's going to be somebody that has a lot of power and influence over these streets because they're connected to the mob. You don't have to see them to mind them. They're going to provide orders from long distance, from a cell, thousands of miles away. Different prison systems, maybe even in the streets. But more than half of this generation that are in the penal system have never even met the person that they put in work for or they used to work for. Because remember, prison organizations didn't come out for a very long time. So think about how many people ended up on the SNY caught up behind prison politics and power struggles amongst the organizations. These guys were working for somebody, sending JPays and green dots and money and packages and books and fed out to their families, fed out to their wives. Never met them dudes. But when it kicked off amongst Sureños or amongst Norteños, when they were going to war with each other over their big homies' political views, and they ended up on the SNY because they just lost the battle, they never got to meet the dudes that they actually work for. And these dudes finally came out later. And I bet you there's a lot of SNY inmates that watch these YouTube videos or hear the stories of the newer generation that's getting pushed over to the SNY side. And they probably hear him, but like, man, I'm glad I didn't meet him. I threw my life away from him already. But being on the yard with them sounds a little bit more severe, more dangerous, more political. And it's just another reminder that it wasn't worth it. So with that being said, like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Peace.